One.
Good day, Black Knight scholars. It's Mr. Deegan. I'm in the VidNote zone. It's time for 9-2. Let's write down our learning target. I will understand U.S. strategy in World War II. The U.S. had remained neutral until this. Oahu bombed by Japanese planes. Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. How does the U.S. strategize after this event? Let's find out. Japan gets aggressive. During the 1930s, a militaristic Japan invaded and brutalized Manchuria. There's Manchuria, just north of Korea, and China. Japan wanted military and economic domination over all of Asia. Here is Asia, and in red are all of the areas that the Japanese Empire controls. They are led by Hideki Tojo, military general, and Emperor Hirohito. The U.S. avoids war. The U.S. refused to recognize Japanese conquests in Asia and imposed an embargo, meaning a ban, on exports of oil and steel to Japan. This angered Japan because 80% of its oil came from the United States. The embargo allows the U.S. to avoid war and fighting. And here is the political cartoon. And Uncle Sam is squeezing the oil hose so that Japan doesn't have any oil to feed its machines and tanks and war weapons. So what does Japan do to respond? They're angry and they attack. Without warning, Japanese warplanes attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii on December 7th, 1941. The attack destroyed much of the American Pacific Fleet of ships and killed more than 2,400 Americans. There's a picture of the attack, and here is a headline from a New York newspaper. FDR reacts. U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt called the attack, quote, a date that will live in infamy. Infamy means famous for being bad. FDR asked Congress to declare war on Japan shortly after the attack. After Pearl Harbor, Hitler, there he is, honored a pact agreement with Japan and declared war on the U.S. The debates over isolationism in the U.S. were over. The U.S. is no longer sleeping in a separate bed. They join Europe in this diseased bed. World War II was now a true world war, and the U.S. was fully involved, both militarily and with sharing weapons. Allied Strategy Part 1. America and its allies, Britain, the Soviet Union after Germany invaded it, followed a defeat Hitler first strategy. Most American military resources were targeted for Europe. So Europe was the first focus, and this man. The Allied Strategy Part 2. In the Pacific Ocean, there it is, the U.S. military strategy was called island hopping. The U.S. seized Japanese islands closer and closer to the Japanese mainland and used them as bases for air attacks. The U.S. also cut off Japanese supplies through submarine warfare against Japanese shipping. Here's the main island of Japan, and all of these little explosions are island hopping. The U.S. hops from island to island. When they take it over, they set up those bases. Axis Strategy, Part 1. The Allied powers are the U.S. The Axis powers are Nazi Germany, Italy, and Japan. Germany hoped to defeat the Soviet Union quickly gain control of Soviet oil fields that were so important, and force Britain out of the war through a bombing campaign and submarine warfare before America's industrial and military strength could arrive. Here's Operation Barbarossa. The Nazis planned to take over the Soviet Union, and the area of fierce fighting is in red. They were also areas that had a lot of oil. And there is a Nazi bomber bombing Britain. Axis Strategy Part 2. Following Pearl Harbor, Japan invaded the Philippines and Indonesia and planned to invade both Australia and Hawaii as well. Japan's leaders hoped the US would accept Japanese dominance in the Pacific Ocean and not fight back against them. In red is the Japanese Empire. They do look dominant, but the US is not going to sit on their hands. They're attacking this empire. We have but our summary questions remaining. Please think of 2 questions you would like to ask. Write them down. And when you're done, don't forget the 9-2 Canvas quiz. When you're done with the quiz and the questions, you're done with 9-2. Until next time, this is Mr. Deegan signing off.